Chapter 1: The Fall of Babylon. In an age beyond the grasp of recorded time, when the world had seen empires rise and fall like the relentless tides, there stood a city of unparalleled splendor. Babylon, the jewel of the earth, a testament to human ingenuity and a monument to its hubris. Its hanging gardens were one of the wonders of the world, and its ziggurat towered toward the heavens, as if to stake mankind's claim amongst the stars. But as the ancient prophets had foretold, the days of Babylon were numbered, and its fall would herald the end of an era. The air was thick with the scent of myrrh and frankincense, as the city reveled in its own grandeur. The Euphrates, which had long nourished the land and its people, flowed gently by, indifferent to the fate that loomed over the great city. Merchants from distant lands filled the markets with exotic goods, and the sound of lyres and the laughter of revelers echoed through the marbled streets. Yet, amidst the opulence, a sense of unease began to take root. Whispers of a divine reckoning spread like wildfire, carried on the lips of the pious and the fearful. The prophets, once dismissed as madmen and outcasts, now commanded the attention of the masses. Their visions of apocalypse painted a grim picture. Babylon, the mighty empire, would crumble, and from its ashes a great battle would arise, the battle of Armageddon, where the forces of good and evil would clash in a final cataclysmic confrontation. The skies above Babylon darkened, as if the heavens themselves mourned the impending doom. A series of omens began to unfold, each more terrifying than the last. The river ran red as blood, the earth trembled, and the stars seemed to fall from the night sky. The once proud king of Babylon, robed in purple and gold, watched from his palace as his world began to unravel. Fear took hold of his heart, for he knew that the empire's decadence had sealed its fate. It was then that the city's mighty walls, thought to be impregnable, met their match. A vast hostile force, as numerous as the grains of sand in the desert, descended upon Babylon. The great city, which had stood for centuries as a beacon of human achievement, was besieged. The battle raged on, the clash of steel and the cries of the fallen filling the air with a grim symphony of destruction. As the city's defenses faltered, the invaders poured in like a flood, unstoppable in their wrath. The streets that had once echoed with joy were now filled with terror and bloodshed. Babylon, the shining star of the ancient world, was consumed by flames, its beauty turned to ash. The empire that had seemed eternal was erased from the pages of history in a single devastating blow. And so, the fall of Babylon came to pass, just as it had been written. The world watched in stunned silence, knowing that this was but the prelude to something even greater and more fearsome. For the prophet spoke of a new city, a new Jerusalem, that would rise from the ruins of the old world, a city of peace and light that would last for all eternity. But before this new dawn, the earth would have to endure the darkest night and the greatest battle the world had ever known. Chapter 2: The Battle of Armageddon. The fall of Babylon had sent ripples through the fabric of the world, a premonition of the cataclysm that was to come. The once mighty city lay in ruins, a smoldering testament to the fragility of empires. And as the dust settled over its broken walls, the stage was set for an even greater confrontation, the Battle of Armageddon. In the shadow of the fallen Babylon, the valley of Megiddo lay silent, a vast expanse that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. It was here that the forces of light and darkness would gather, drawn to this ancient battleground by the threads of destiny. The air was charged with anticipation, and the earth itself seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the arrival of the prophesied armies. from the four corners of the shattered world they came. Legions of angels, resplendent in their celestial armor, descended from the heavens on wings of blinding light. They were led by the archangel Michael, his sword gleaming with divine fire, a beacon of hope for all that is good and just. Opposing them, the hordes of the abyss, a nightmarish cavalcade of demons and fallen souls, rallied under the banner of the beast, whose very presence was an affront to creation. The skies above Megiddo darkened as the final battle drew near, a tapestry of storm clouds woven by the hands of fate. Thunder rolled across the heavens, a herald of the divine wrath to come. The earth trembled beneath the weight of the opposing forces, the very fabric of reality strained by the magnitude of their presence. The first clash was like the sound of worlds colliding, a cacophony that echoed through the ages. Swords of light met blades of shadow, and the valley was illuminated by the flashes of their deadly dance. The cries of the fallen were drowned out by the relentless din of battle, as neither side yielded an inch of hallowed ground. Michael, in his radiant armor, fought with a fury that matched the righteousness of his cause. He moved through the ranks of darkness like a tempest, his blade severing the chains of evil with every strike. The beast, a creature of pure malevolence, met the archangel's gaze with eyes that burned with hatred. Their duel would be the fulcrum upon which the fate of the world would turn. As the battle raged on, the prophecy of the end times unfolded with each passing moment. The rivers ran red with the blood of the divine and the damned, and the sun was blotted out by the smoke of destruction. It seemed as though the very earth would be torn asunder by the conflict that engulfed it. But even in the heart of darkness, there was light. The prayers of the faithful rose up like a chorus, a plea for salvation that pierced the heavens. And in that moment of despair, a miracle occurred. A figure of pure light descended upon the battlefield, a presence that quelled the chaos with its mere arrival. It was the Messiah, the King of Kings, whose return had been foretold since the dawn of time. With a voice that resonated with the power of creation, the Messiah called for an end to the strife. The ground ceased its shaking, the clouds parted, and a hush fell over Megiddo. The forces of darkness, unable to withstand the purity of his light, were vanquished, cast back into the abyss from whence they came. The battle of Armageddon was over, but its legacy would endure forever. It was a reminder of the eternal struggle between light and darkness, and a testament to the indomitable spirit of hope. With the beast defeated and the world purged of its corruption, the path was clear for the coming of a new age, an age of peace and righteousness. The New Jerusalem was at hand, a city of gold and crystal, descending from the heavens like a bride adorned for her husband. It was the promise of a future without end, a world reborn in the aftermath of the greatest battle ever fought. And as the survivors of the apocalypse gazed upon the glory of the New Jerusalem, they knew that, at long last, they had witnessed the dawn of eternity. And so it was, as the echoes of Armageddon's fury faded into the annals of time, that the New Jerusalem descended, resplendent and pure, from the celestial realm. A city not built by human hands, but conceived in the very heart of the divine, it was a masterpiece of perfection, its walls of jasper and streets of transparent gold, reflecting the renewed light of a cleansed world. Behold, the gates of pearl stood open, an eternal invitation to the redeemed of every land and age. The river of life, clear as crystal, flowed from the throne of God, meandering through the city like a ribbon of hope. On its banks, the tree of life bloomed, its leaves for the healing of the nations, a symbol of the restoration that was now at hand. In this city, There was no need for sun or moon, for the glory of God illuminated every corner, and the Lamb was its lamp. The nations walked by its light, and the kings of the earth brought their splendor into it. The gates would never be shut, for there would be no night, and nothing impure would ever enter it, nor anyone who did what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names were written in the Lamb's book of life. Here, in the New Jerusalem, the people of God found their rest, their tears wiped away by the very hand of the Creator. Death had been swallowed up in victory. Sorrow and sighing fled away, and the former things, the pain, the strife, the decay, were remembered no more. In unity and joy, the inhabitants raised their voices in a chorus of praise, a melody that resonated through the firmament. The New Jerusalem was not merely a place, but the fulfillment of a promise, the culmination of a journey that had begun at the dawn of creation. It was the eternal home, the final chapter in the grand saga of redemption, where the story of humanity found its everlasting epilogue in the presence of the Almighty, forever and ever. Amen.